Welcome to today's lesson on the Earth's biosphere. The biosphere is the life-supporting layer of Earth, where the atmosphere, lithosphere, and hydrosphere interact with living organisms. It is the global ecosystem that sustains all forms of life, from microscopic bacteria to giant whales, from dense tropical forests to frozen tundra. Without the biosphere, Earth would be a lifeless planet, much like Mars or the Moon. The biosphere is made up of four major components. Atmosphere, the thin layer of gases surrounding Earth that contains the oxygen we breathe and carbon dioxide required for photosynthesis. It acts as a shield, protecting life from harmful solar radiation and regulating temperature. For example, the ozone layer blocks UV radiation, while greenhouse gases trap heat to keep Earth warm enough for life. Hydrosphere. This encompasses all of Earth's water, from vast oceans and seas to rivers, lakes, glaciers, and underground aquifers. Life originated in the oceans about 3.5 billion years ago. And even today, aquatic systems harbor most of Earth's biodiversity. Coral reefs in shallow seas, for instance, are home to thousands of species, while wetlands act as nurseries for fish and migratory birds. Lithosphere, the outermost layer of Earth, including soil, mountains, rocks, and the crust. It provides essential nutrients and minerals for plants and forms the foundation of terrestrial ecosystems. Fertile volcanic soils in places like Hawaii and Java, for example, support dense agriculture. Biota, all living organisms, from microorganisms that recycle nutrients to towering sequoias and blue whales. Collectively, they interact with physical systems to maintain Earth's balance. Together, these four systems are interconnected. Water from the hydrosphere evaporates into the atmosphere, rains down onto the lithosphere, and supports the biota, showing how cycles and exchanges keep the biosphere functioning. Biomes are vast regions defined by climate, vegetation, and animal life. They group together areas of the Earth that share similar weather patterns, soils, and ecological communities. The tropical rainforest biome is characterized by hot, wet climates with year-round rainfall and dense vegetation. The Amazon basin in South America is the largest tropical rainforest, covering countries such as Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. It is home to jaguars, toucans, harpy eagles, and millions of insect species. In Africa, the Congo Basin rainforest spans the Democratic Republic of Congo, Cameroon, and Gabon, supporting gorillas, okapis, and chimpanzees. Southeast Asia also contains rainforests in countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Papua New Guinea, which host orangutans, proboscis monkeys, and countless bird species. These rainforests are biodiversity hotspots, often referred to as the lungs of the Earth. The desert biome is defined by extremely low rainfall, sparse vegetation, and adaptations to conserve water. The Sahara Desert in North Africa, stretching across Algeria, Egypt, Libya, and Sudan, is the world's largest hot desert and is home to date palms, camels, and desert foxes. The Atacama Desert in Chile is one of the driest places on Earth, where specialized plants like lichens and cacti survive in near-waterless conditions. The Gobi Desert in northern China and southern Mongolia is a cold desert, with harsh winters supporting Bactrian camels, snow leopards, and hardy shrubs. The grassland biome features vast open areas dominated by grasses rather than trees. In Africa's savannas, particularly in Kenya and Tanzania, tall grasses and scattered acacia trees support elephants, giraffes, zebras, lions, and cheetahs. In North America, the prairies once stretched from Canada to Texas, hosting massive herds of bison and pronghorn antelope. Though much has now been converted to farmland, the Eurasian steppes, spanning Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan, are another classic grassland region, home to saiga antelopes and wolves. The temperate forest biome is marked by 4 distinct seasons and broadleaf trees that shed leaves in autumn. In the eastern United States, temperate deciduous forests support deer, black bears, raccoons, and oak and maple trees. Across Europe, particularly in Germany, France, and Poland, These forests contain beech and birch trees alongside foxes, wild boars, and songbirds. In East Asia, including China, Japan, and Korea, temperate forests host species such as giant pandas, sika deer, and red-crowned cranes. The tundra biome is a cold, treeless landscape with permafrost soils and limited vegetation such as mosses, lichens, and dwarf shrubs. The Arctic tundra, covering northern Canada, Alaska, Greenland, and Siberia, supports caribou, reindeer, snowy owls, and Arctic foxes. Alpine tundra, found at high elevations in the Andes, Rockies, and Himalayas, is home to mountain goats, snow leopards, and hardy alpine plants adapted to thin air and freezing temperatures. Finally, the aquatic biomes are divided into freshwater and marine systems. Freshwater ecosystems include the Great Lakes of North America, home to trout, sturgeon, and migratory birds, and the Amazon River system, which contains pink river dolphins, piranhas, and caimans. Marine ecosystems include shallow coastal waters, like the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, the world's largest coral reef, supporting colorful corals, clownfish, and sea turtles. The open oceans, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, regulate global climate and support tuna, whales, sharks, and plankton. Wetlands such as the Okavango Delta in Botswana or the Everglades in Florida are especially important, serving as breeding grounds for fish, amphibians, and migratory birds. Ecosystems, by contrast, are smaller, more localized units within biomes. A tropical rainforest biome, for example, may include canopy ecosystems with monkeys, sloths, and toucans, while the forest floor has decomposers like fungi and termites recycling nutrients. In deserts, an oasis ecosystem, such as those found in Egypt's Siwa Oasis, supports date palms, birds, and insects in otherwise barren landscapes. Biomes thus provide the big picture of Earth's ecological regions, while ecosystems reveal the finer details of interactions between species and their environments. On the other hand, the ocean, Earth's largest biome, has distinct vertical and horizontal zones that influence life forms. Loosest to shore is the intertidal zone, which is regularly covered by water at high tide and exposed to air at low tide. Organisms living here, such as crabs, barnacles, and seaweeds, must adapt to constantly changing conditions, including strong waves, exposure to air, and fluctuations in temperature and salinity. Beyond this lies the neritic zone, which extends over the continental shelf. Because it is relatively shallow, this zone receives abundant sunlight and nutrients, making it one of the most productive areas of the ocean. Coral reefs, kelp forests, and a vast variety of fish, mollusks, and marine mammals thrive in this zone. Farther out is the oceanic zone, representing the deep, open waters beyond the continental shelf. Here, nutrients are scarcer and life is more dispersed. Large predators such as tuna, sharks, and whales roam these waters, while plankton form the base of the food chain. Vertical divisions also exist within the ocean, based on light availability. The photic zone, extending down to about 200 meters, receives sufficient sunlight to support photosynthesis. As a result, it contains the highest concentrations of marine life, including phytoplankton, fish, and sea turtles. Below this lies the aphotic zone, where sunlight cannot penetrate. Life in this region relies not on photosynthesis, but on consuming organic matter that sinks from above, or on chemosynthesis near hydrothermal vents. Creatures here, such as anglerfish and giant squid, are adapted to darkness, extreme pressure, and scarcity of food. Finally, the benthic zone refers to the ocean floor, which extends from shallow coastal areas to the deepest trenches. Conditions here vary greatly. In shallow benthic regions, seagrasses and bottom-dwelling organisms such as crabs, starfish, and sea cucumbers are abundant. In the deep benthic areas, where sunlight never reaches, life is sparse and consists mainly of organisms that scavenge or feed on chemical energy sources. Together, these zones form a vast and complex oceanic ecosystem, with each region supporting life uniquely adapted to its environment. Energy in ecosystems flows in a one-way path from the sun, while nutrients are recycled endlessly. Plants, algae, and phytoplankton capture sunlight through photosynthesis, providing energy to herbivores like zebras, deer, and grasshoppers. Carnivores such as lions, hawks, and killer whales feed on them, and decomposers like fungi and bacteria recycle organic matter back into nutrients. At each step, only about 10% of energy transfers upward, which is why food chains form pyramids. For instance, a single oak tree can support thousands of insects, but only a few birds and predators at higher levels. Nutrients, by contrast, circulate continuously. In the carbon cycle, plants absorb carbon dioxide, animals release it, and fossil fuels store it, though human burning of coal and oil adds excess CO2, driving climate change. The nitrogen cycle relies on bacteria to make nitrogen usable for plants, while fertilizer overuse causes harmful algal blooms, such as in the Gulf of Mexico. The water cycle moves through evaporation, condensation, and precipitation, with forests like the Amazon playing a key role in rainfall. The phosphorus cycle, lacking a gaseous phase, moves through soils and rocks, and overuse of phosphorus fertilizers leads to pollution in rivers and lakes. In short, energy powers life but flows only once, while nutrients are recycled to sustain ecosystems across forests, deserts, oceans, and wetlands. Thank you very much.